Guild Wars 2 is an incredible MMORPG with unique aesthetics, intricate combat, and the best mount system in the genre. With nearly 13 million active accounts, 3 successful expansions, and about a decade of consistent updates, there's no wonder this MMO is included in nearly every top 5 list and is considered by many to be one of the best MMOs currently available. But while its high quality and outstanding success are clear and evident, how does the game look and feel from a new player's perspective, as someone who hasn't experienced the best and worst of it over the years? Hello everyone, my name is Storm, and in this video I'm going to share my own personal experience as a new player in Guild Wars 2. Whether you're a new player who's considering trying the game out or an experienced veteran looking to see the game from the perspective of a new player, you've come to the right place. Before we get started, I'd like to thank everyone for your support on Twitch, Discord, and here on YouTube. If you find this video informative or enjoyable, I'll truly appreciate it if you'll consider liking it and subscribing to the channel. And with that said, let's get started with the video. Our story begins outside the Black Citadel as I've picked Char to be my first race. Why? It looks like a cat, cow, and giraffe all packed into a humanoid with some extra dragon horns. How can I not? My character is initially locked into a very small area of the map until I complete the tutorial, and while I normally don't like being unable to explore the world freely, the tutorial is incredibly quick and efficient. It teaches you what you must know swiftly and sends you out into the open world. Unlike many other MMOs, Guild Wars 2 does not overwhelm you with too much information straight away, and instead chooses to teach you new mechanics each time you level up, even though most of them are available very early on, which helps new players learn the game slowly instead of all at once, and at the same time keeps the leveling process fresh as you are constantly introduced to new things you can do. Unfortunately, fighting and combat at the very early game felt quite boring to me. You only have one ability to spam at first, and there are no light or heavy attack mechanics in place, which made the fight feel very repetitive. My opinion of combat was changed really quickly, however, when I noticed a unique effect on one of my abilities, which I later found out is a staple for skills in Guild Wars 2. A single skill can be used in 2 different ways, actively and passively. My default healing ability grants me health passively when I cast spells. However, if I activate it to gain a powerful immediate heal, its passive healing won't be available again until the skill's cooldown is over. This unique skill design indicates the importance of smart use of skills rather than just spamming them, which, to give Guild Wars 2 credit, isn't all that common in MMOs nowadays. As I play the game more, I find more and more skills that have similar design concepts, which makes me think very highly of the combat team of this game. Putting combat aside for a minute, we'll be back to it later, the game's visual design and aesthetics are wonderful. While many of the zones are not short of classical fantasy elements, with ruined ancient castles, massive walls, wild forests, snowy mountains, and raging volcanoes, the world is filled with so many additional styles which captivated me every single time. From steampunk cities to sci-fi laboratories, from Nordic temples to haunted ravines, each area of the world seems unique, complex, and alive, with a rich history and full of so many secrets just waiting to be uncovered. Perhaps my favorite design is Lion's Arch, a port city built looking full of sea life, with buildings shaped like lobsters, squids, corals, and starfish. Or perhaps this laboratory, which layout looks just like precursor buildings from my favorite game, Subnautica. But this world is more than just beautiful and fascinating. As I explored the continent of Tyria bit by bit, it consistently felt full of life. In a manner that reminds me a bit of World of Warcraft, the cities in Guild Wars 2 are full of NPCs going about their days, the military bases and camps found throughout the land are manned by warriors fighting for their lives, and the wilds are teeming with animals, monsters, and hostile factions. In many modern MMOs, cities feel absurdly tiny, and the world feels lacking, as if it's all centered around you as the player and the path that you take. Playing Guild Wars felt to me more like I'm just one person out of many, tiny in a massive and ever-living world, which is exactly the feeling I want an MMO to give me. Outside of NPCs and enemies, each zone has plenty of locations to explore and activities to complete. Finding waypoints, which are your standard means of fast travel, felt instantly rewarding. Points of interest marked on the map are awesome as they helped me find many of the neat locations in each zone, and vistas, elevated spots where you can see a short cinematic, really made me appreciate the view and map design of the game. I was a bit torn about hearts, however, which are location-based objectives where you can choose between multiple different tasks to perform in order to complete. While some of them felt long and repetitive, many others offered unique challenges like stealthing past a cave full of NPCs who are trying to track you, following a war dog to find hidden hostiles around an encampment, or even playing with tiger or wolf cubs. Aren't they adorable? Additionally, each map has hero challenges, which are unique objectives you must find or special enemies you must beat in order to gain hero points, which are your standard skill points. This was a really fun way to incentivize me to completely explore each zone, and I love it. What I enjoyed far more than any of those standard map completion objectives, though, were the dynamic events. Throughout my playthrough, I kept running into random bosses and quests that spawned in a bunch of different locations, seemingly out of the blue. Some of them had many players team up to take down huge monstrosities, some had us look for hidden items. All of them were unexpected, super fun, and made the world feel so much more alive. These dynamic events remind me a lot of another MMO I used to love called Rift Online. In Rift, you would have random portals to other planes of existence open all over the world with unique and varying mobs spawning out of them, which you had to either beat in combat or outsmart by completing tasks all over the map, which were absolutely incredible. These spontaneous events in Guild Wars felt very much like those, except more varied in their contents, even if most of them weren't quite as epic as world-ending rifts. Very early on, I've got to try out my first dungeon. Wait. Alright, I have to talk about this before anything else. Why is there no sprint button in this game? Like, I get it that some abilities give you actively or passively a little bit of a movement boost, and some mounts have like dashing forward or a little bit of a boost scale, but I need an active shift key that gives me a sprint function. I need to press my shift and get my character moving faster while I'm holding it down. It's a very basic quality of life feature, and I need it and I demand it. Okay, sorry, rant over. Let's continue. Very early on, I've got to try out my first dungeon, and that was my first and honestly nearly last bad experience that I've had while playing Guild Wars. The dungeon was cool and interesting, but I kept getting cinematics explaining the lore and the story of the dungeon, which I was happy to watch as this was a story mode dungeon, yet my group of random players would consistently skip cutscenes and go straight to kill bosses, resulting in me missing several boss fights completely or coming out of the cinematic to find my entire group dead on the ground. I finished the dungeon both uncertain about the story and feeling like I missed out on the combat, which was a real shame. My viewers on Twitch, however, informed me that the dungeon content in the game is very old and outdated, and that later on I'll make my way into fractals and raids, which are much better executions of similar dungeon-like concepts, and that makes me feel a lot better about that experience. Speaking of my chat, let me tell you a bit about the community in Guild Wars 2. I have played many MMOs over the years, ESO, World of Warcraft, New World, and Rift to name a few, and let me tell you, I have yet to find an MMO community as friendly and supportive as the one in Guild Wars 2. Beyond the surprising amount of Twitch chatters who stopped by to give me tips or answer my questions while I was learning the game, I've had so many encounters in-game where I would run into a player or a group while doing some random activity, and they would not only help me out with whatever I was doing, give tips and share advice, but also just ask how I was liking the game, carry me between places on their mounts, or invite me to a party after we've won a challenging fight together. The community in Guild Wars 2 is the main reason as to why it is not too late to join the game in 2022. The community won't make you feel like you're behind. They will offer to help you progress, give advice, and join you on your journey. If you're a friendly person, you will not feel alone in Guild Wars, and honestly, that's one of the most wonderful things about the game that I truly cannot say about many other MMOs I have played. Alright, normally when I make videos like these, I like taking my time and expressing how I feel about every mechanic and idea in the game at great length. But I have so much to say about Guild Wars that I've had a really hard time fitting it all into one video. So here are a few quick takes about different parts of the game. A really neat feature this game has is the /wiki command. At any point of time, you can type /wiki and the name of an area, skill, or item into your chat box and have your browser open with a full detailed page about it. This is super helpful for learning lore, understanding how to use special items, and finding your way to tricky secret spots. Speaking of secret spots, this game has so many hidden rooms, secret caves, and narrow pathways with unique bosses, item chests, and amazing views. Several times I happened to, by mistake, reach a spot I did not know even existed or was guided to one by my chat, and the experience of finding these is truly unique and wonderful. The mount system in this game is phenomenal, with unique skills that differ between different mounts, which make traversing on mount back not just a sped up version of walking like in other MMOs, but an actual interactive and enjoyable gameplay aspect. Zones or areas in Guild Wars have a ton of different types of content in addition to everything I've mentioned so far. Alongside questing, exploring, and dynamic events, you also have countless jumping puzzles that never truly end when you think you've reached their top, and even mount races, which with unique mount abilities are incredibly fun and super addictive. This game has instruments, real instruments, not like an emote or something other MMO has. You can equip or activate an instrument, replacing your entire hotbar with musical notes, which you can now cast as abilities in order to create enchanting melodies or meme at your friends. Inventory management in Guild Wars is often referred to as one of the negative aspects of the game, but I honestly found it to be really enjoyable. Having to sort out your items, learning which ones are worth keeping, selling, or deconstructing, and which quest items are worth saving for later. You also have access to the bank to store items straight from the get-go, which helps a lot. Not a bad system at all in my book. I originally chose to play Elementalist to have access to extra skills on my hotbar, but boy, had I known what skills in Guild Wars 2 are like, I would have realized I did not need that at all. Each class in the game has access to a ton of different sets of skills, which you can choose from and replace based on the specs you choose and the weapons you equip. You unlock skills as you level up, but also change them with different weapon types, allowing you to have multiple builds per character or multiple characters of the same class and still feel unique and different with each one. On top of the many different skills you can equip, there's also underwater combat, which completely transforms all your skills into underwater versions and creates a super cool playground where combat is in 3 dimensions and area abilities are all over the place. And don't even get me started on secret underwater tunnels. Last but not least, a lot of the music in this game was created by Jeremy Soule, who is responsible for many of the masterpieces we know and love from Skyrim. His music makes the game 1,000 times more enjoyable, whether you want to relax with some calm tunes or get immersed in intense combat. Guild Wars 2 has managed to do something no MMO has done to me in a very long time. It surprised me. While its quests and tasks weren't the most immersive and engaging, it managed to capture me and keep me playing for hours and hours every time I got on, gave me countless of things to do, and more than anything, it showed me MMOs can be constructed in completely different ways despite their usual formula. Guild Wars has everything a standard MMO has: inventory and crafting, combat and character progression, mount and exploration, but all of those things it does differently to the industry standards and many times to the better. I did not expect this game to be as addictive to me as it turned out to be, with its brilliant systems and wonderful community. And while I have several other games I plan on trying out and revisiting in the near future, I have no doubt I'll be sinking lots of my free time into Guild Wars 2 going forward. To wrap things up, I wholeheartedly recommend everyone watching this video to give Guild Wars 2 a try. It is not too late to join, and it is very much worthy of your time. Thanks everyone for watching this video. If you found it informative, helpful, or enjoyable, I'll truly appreciate it if you'll consider giving it a like and subscribing to my channel. If you have any questions at all or perhaps some notes on things I've missed, please don't hesitate to comment those down below and I'll do my best to read and respond. And lastly, if you'd like to chat with me or see more of my content, links to my Discord and Twitch can be found in the description down below. Thanks again everyone for your support, I really appreciate you, and I'll see you all in the next one.